So let's do a quick walkthrough of last week's class. So Anvika will be able to follow and then we'll start with a new class for today.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? I try to share the browser. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So these are the projects that you submitted, and it was, you know, just a wrap up of what we did last time. So what we had there were a few classes about flying, going, you know, up and down and pointing towards 0 position and 180. And then some of you also succeeded to change the costumes to make things look like flying. Like we have a project here, we have a race. So if you, and then we have up and down buttons to make all of them fly. And they are having a race. So this is pretty much a combination of lesson 2 and 16, exactly as we needed. All your projects were nice. I looked inside and I looked at all the code for all of them, and they are very nice. So if we are ready to continue, we need to go to Studio One again. I'll do it. So if you can just create a new project for yourselves, just start a new project. And I'm going to go in Studio One. Because there is one lesson left there. I left lesson 4 for today because it was different than what we did in the other days. And there is one aspect here that is important to pay attention to. So if you can start by creating a new project and try to import several backdrops. Now, if I click here to the right, do you see my cursor? When you click to the right on the backdrop, it allows me to change the menu on the top left. And if I click here on the backdrop, see where I'm putting the mouse, I can see all the backdrops that I added. Now be careful, if you click on this trash bin, it's going to delete it. So don't click in the middle of it if you want to see the backdrop, not on the corner, so you don't delete it. See? So I created several backdrops that look similar, and also allow walking, because we want to go from one to another, to continue our walk from one to another. So let's see how this works to start with. I need to look at the instructions. So click the green flag to make the cat move like walking. But then what happens is that the scenery will change as soon as we go to the end of it. So it's like we go on to the next beach. And it keeps going. I added 3 beaches, so we have like 3 walks on the beach, one after the other. But what is interesting to notice here is that once we go to the end, we don't lose the scratch, we don't lose a sprite, but it also doesn't bounce back. So it doesn't come back on the screen. It continues to walk like from the other, like in a movie. You can see it coming from the other side, like in a movie. So how do we do this? We look inside. I will wait for you for a moment if you want to select several backdrops for your project, just to have them ready to go. Should we wait for a minute for you to do that? Do you remember where to pick your backdrops? Yes. So in the corner down here, down right corner, you see green, you choose a backdrop, choose 3 backdrops that, I don't know, they have something in common. So, you know, it makes sense to continue from one to another.
Sounds good.
So you can see, have like 3 town sceneries, like if I look here, or 3 sports fields, that's also fine.
Okay. So for Anvika, I'll quickly give a recap. So go, once you're logged in, go on top to create. After you create, in the bottom right corner, you will see the backdrop button. So go there and choose 3 backdrops. And if you got it done, give us a thumbs up. If not, we can help you. You got it?
So there are several here, like we have the desert, and then we have a hayfield, and we have a hill. So 3 backdrops that kind of makes sense to continue to.
I chose 3 backdrops.
Sorry? You cannot see the backdrops?
No, I chose 3 backdrops.
You did, okay. Is everybody ready with that?
I am looking for it.
We need to wait for everybody. So can you ask if anybody needs help with choosing 3 backdrops? And if you click right here up on top, you'll see the backdrops, see like displayed on the left, and you can see
Wait,
them.
where do you go to see all your backdrops?
Where you see them? Okay, so if you chose the backdrop, okay, then you go back. And if you are clicked on the backdrop here, you will see that the menu on the top left has a backdrop button in the middle. So that's where you click.
Oh yeah, I see it now, thanks.
You see, okay. So this is where they are, but make sure when you click on it to see, don't click on the right top corner because that would put it in the trash. And then you click back to the code to see it. To see the code. Now, because we are in the backdrops category, the blocks that are first displays are the ones that are possible for a backdrop. Like it allows you that you can switch backdrop.
So let's make sure everybody got the backdrop. Give us a thumbs up, please, if you got it. If you got the backdrop, Nina got it. And did you get it? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, Michaela.
I got it.
Okay, and Anvika.
How should I create the project?
Okay, so go to create, and on top
See her.
you see
I
5.
can't see yours.
Adina looks like she needs help.
Okay, so where do we need help?
Yes.
Do you want to share your screen? Look, I'm going to close. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Do you know how to share your screen?
No.
Okay. You can see a green button at the bottom there. You click on it, and then you choose your browser. Not your desktop, but your browser, whatever, Google Chrome or whatever you use there, the browser. Because then we'll, okay, awesome. Awesome. So let's see what we need to do here. You didn't choose a backdrop yet, right?
No.
So this is what we do. Look at the bottom of the screen to the right, all the way to the right. All the way to the right, even more to the right and more to the bottom. Right in the corner, right bottom. I can see it from here. There is like a rectangle and a little plus where it shows you there. Click on it, and that says choose a backdrop. And from there, just choose a backdrop, see what you like from there. Not very busy, okay, that's great. And then you go again and you choose another one and you choose another one. We need 3 of them.
Can you?
That's fine. You go from the beach to the canyon, that's fine. And then another. Okay. Now we go to the left corner. No, we need to make sure that we click on the backdrop. You're still on the right on top of that rectangle where you chose a backdrop, you will see a little picture with a backdrop, a small one. Click on that. Right, and because you clicked on that, and now you go to the opposite corner in diagonal to the left top, next to code, you will see a button that is called backdrops that appears there. Okay, now click on your backdrops. And in the left side, then you will see all of them displayed, and you can move from one to another to see them again. So you can click on each of them, but make sure you don't delete it. You don't click on the trash bin. So those will be your backdrops. Now go back and click on code again. Just click on code on top of it. And here you see that there is code blocks that are appropriate for use with the backdrop. Like the first one, it allows you to switch. Sorry? You're just there. But go to the little triangle at the end of it, which is a list. Just go to the little triangle, move your cursor to the little triangle, there. And it allows you to see, click on it, and it will open a list and it will show you all the backdrops you have there. See the names of them. So for now, it's all you need to know. For now, it's all you need to know because that's the only thing we are going to use, okay? Now we go back to that little cat picture and click on it, click on the sprite. Click on it, okay. We don't choose another sprite. We don't choose, so just click on the one that is already displayed. So we go back, just click on back.
What is a sprite?
We have a cat, we have the cat for now. We only need one. We only need one. So we don't choose sprite, just go on the little cat, click on the little cat that's already chosen. See sprite 1. Can you see sprite 1?
Yes.
Okay, click on that one. And now we see that something changed. If you go to the left, there are no backdrops listed up there, they are costumes. So we will need to look at the costumes now. Click on the costumes on the, there. And now what can you see in the left? The costumes that are available for this sprite. So if you click on back and forth between them, you will see that it's like making a little animation of walking. Click the first one, click the second one, see? So that's what we are going to use to make the sprite move like walking. Now let's click on the code again. Click on the code, and now I will ask you if you can to stop sharing the screen so I can share my screen and show the code.
Okay.
All right, great.
Thank you so much, Adina.
No worry. No
And Swesha, Kemen, give me a thumbs up if you got the backdrop. Swesha, did you get it? Okay, Kemen, did you get it?
Coach K?
Yes, Zamora.
What are we doing? Because I just got here.
You just got there. So we just changed 3 backdrops. So try to follow from what we are teaching. You know how to change the backdrops. I have seen some in your project, so I think you'll be able to follow along. Okay?
Oh yeah, I know how to.
We'll talk about it again. Now, this is my screen. So if you want to see briefly, if we click on backdrops here, we see we have 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sounds
and
good.
then I'm going to click on the sprite. We have a simple sprite, but a sprite that allows walking. So it has 2 costumes that allows walking. Okay, so that's what we needed right now.
Okay, awesome. And welcome to the class, Ms. Blick. Did you get the backdrops? Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I'll explain something briefly here. The first thing we do, so of course we start with an event that triggers things, makes things happen. This is what events do, they make things happen. So first we choose when the flag is clicked. So let's start with the flag because this is like the big start, right? It's like the scenery. You know, like when you go to the theater, what they do first, they open the curtain. So we need a start. So when the flag is clicked, I go to category look, see it's purple, and I choose switch backdrop. So I go all the way to backdrops and I choose switch backdrops. This is the one that I put in there. And that comes inbuilt already with a list of backdrops that we have. You'll find your backdrops names right here in the list. You don't have to do anything else about it. So if we only have this going, when we click the flag, it changes scenery to start with. Now, what do we do next? What do we want to do here? First of all, what we learn, I'm going to separate my code because what we learned in the previous lesson was to make the sprite walk, you know, move like walking. So we have a typical block here, repeat 20 times. No, they just snap together. Repeat 20 times, so I have a loop, it makes it repeat 20 times. To move 10 steps, wait 0.25 seconds so it doesn't go too fast. We put a waiting time so it doesn't go too fast. And move to the next costume to make it walk, right? So if we have only this block, let's put an event here. Let's just for test. Okay, when this sprite is clicked, just a simple block. When this sprite is clicked, what's going to happen? Yeah, we also meow. I have a block down here about saying meow, so it also meows. But that's all it does. It walks 10 steps, wait 25 microseconds, next costume, and repeat 20 times. So I'm going to unblock it again and get rid of this. What event did I put here? I put when backdrop switches to Beach Malibu. So initially we have, when we click the green flag, it switches to the next backdrop. But then we have an event when backdrop switches to, I could say, to the next backdrop. I also have the choice to say, instead of one of these, to put the next backdrop. Just leave the one that comes. What is this going to do? It's going to repeat that walking loop every time when a new beach is displayed. Every time we reach the end of the scenery and the next backdrop appears, the next beach appears, we keep on walking. That's what it tells us to do. So further on, we add the next block, which is go to the next backdrop. So when first backdrop appears, we repeat this walking time till we get to the end, and then we switch to the next backdrop. I only said next backdrop. I didn't say which one of them. I say next backdrop because that allows it to keep going. We don't have to select a backdrop every time, right? It keeps going to the next backdrop. And here we have 3. So it's going to roll over from backdrop to backdrop, going from one to another. But we do have a problem. If we separate the rest of the rest code, let's test it here. If we separate the rest of the blocks, what's going to happen? Click the green flag. We already lost the scratch, right? Why? Because we didn't say bounce back when you reach the edge, and we also didn't do anything to make it appear on the other side. So it's not going to automatically appear on the other side, right? We need a code, script to make it do that. So what did I do here? I chose a position, and actually I'm going to do something here. I'm going to share something else like we did before. New share. I'm going to share the whiteboard because we need to talk about the position again. Can everybody see my whiteboard?
Yeah.
We talked about the position before when we decided how we position the sprite to go left to right or up and down. So again, if this is a display with a backdrop at the back, this would be my coordinates, right? So we have an X and we have a Y, axis of coordinates. So what we need to do, if this is my screen, sorry for drawing so badly, I don't have a ruler here. We want the sprite to appear somewhere around here or somewhere around here. Anyway, it goes all the way here and we don't want to lose it. And we also don't want it to bounce back. This time we are not going to bounce back like we did before. So this one, we are going to erase because we are not going to bounce back. What we want to do, we want the sprite to appear at the left of the screen to continue to walk when the next backdrop appear. So this will be an orientation. What did I do here that I lost my pen? We go back to the project screen. And you see the coordinates I chose, and this is another motion block which it tells you where to go. Here, see, go to. This is a block, go to. But you need to decide which will be the position on axis X and Y. The one I chose, you can test, you can try. The one I chose goes pretty much at the beginning of the screen, and somewhere it's minus because it's under the axis. It's both of the coordinates are under the cross of the axis. So if I go again in the whiteboard, it's going to be somewhere here. We are walking, we are not in the sky. So we want it to appear not right in the middle, but somewhere here. We are not in the sky. We are not at the horizon. We are still walking on the ground. So somewhere around here. So if we consider this 0, this will be minus and minus values. Why this will be plus values and this will be plus values. So we chose a coordinate. You saw my coordinate. It's, you can try yourself to see which one fits best for you. My coordinate was x, the x-axis minus 192, sorry, and y is minus 36. The way you can test it is to actually grab your sprite and bring it over here and see where it goes. Or if you want for now, just take my my coordinate. You can make it simpler. So like I put here just minus 200. Let's try minus 200 instead. Minus 200 and minus 30, you know, to make it easier. So did you find the block here? Go to. So that will show you exactly where the sprite will appear at the left of your screen when you switch to the next backdrop. So this is a sequence. This is the order of operation. So the sequence practically tells the computer, tells the program, the order in which to run the operations. So we start with the event when the backdrop switches to Beach Malibu. Then we have a loop, which makes a few things repeat several times, which is a walking, moving like walking till we get to the end of the screen. Then we get to the end of the screen. Instead of bouncing back, we switch backdrop to the next beach, next backdrop, and then we tell the sprite to go to these coordinates, which will bring the sprite right here in the lower left side of the screen. Is it clear for now? Now, I'm not going to go forward. We go to the screen, see projects page, and let's try it now. Well, it's supposed to move the sprite. Okay, something happens, it doesn't move the sprite. All the way to the end, all the way to the end. Okay, see? So already now, it went all the way to the end of the screen, and then the backdrop changed, and the sprite appeared to the left, ready to walk again. So let's try again. We walk all the way to the end of the screen, then the backdrop will change to the next backdrop, and then the sprite appears to the left. Now to make it continue to walk, we have to add the next repeating, the next loop that repeats a walk. And I'm going to snap it here. And we'll have the same sequence of code practically repeating 3 times. From here, and then again from here. And every time it will tell us go to the next backdrop, see? So we have 3 sequences of code which are pretty much identical. And then we snap them together to have it continue. I chose to repeat it 3 times because we have 3 backdrops. So now when we start over, it will repeat the same sequence of code, changing between the 3 backdrops, and the sprite is positioned again to the left of the screen, and it keeps on walking. And pretty much that's all it does for now. Is anything unclear? I know this when we have coordinates, things can get a little bit confused, but is everything clear so far? Can we try to create it? So we have 3 backdrops. We have one sprite that has 2 costumes, so that allows us to make it walk. And we take it bit by bit. We don't have to create a script all at once. We can take it bit by bit. So for now, we create the one we know.
Yes, Adina, if you can give them some time and
Yes.
show the coding, they can do it, follow it and do drag and drop it one at a time. Yes, so let's start creating the code, okay? Go ahead, follow this code. It's all color coded. So find the same color, find the exact block, drag and drop it and get it done.
Miss Adina,
Yes.
couldn't you make this code like a lot smaller instead of having to drag and drop all of those blocks?
Yes, you can make it with a repeat block, but those are more complex loops and we didn't get to the lesson loops. So you need to, I appreciate your intervention. It's a good question, but you need to remember that we have children in the class who are complete beginners. So we are not going to introduce a complex loop, which would be like, it will have 2 levels of loops before we get to that lesson. So for now, we just repeat the same sequence 3 times. If you look in the studios, you'll see there is a full studio about developing those loops, but your question is a very good question. It can become much shorter, and that is a point in coding. We make the code simpler and shorter once we learn more tricks about it. For now, we just apply what we already learned and we make it repeat 3 times.
Do we have a code to make the sprite move?
This is, do you see this one I'm moving around? This is the one that you do to start with to make it move. So we start with move. This is what we learned in the first lesson. We start with going to the motion tab, blue, and choose move 10 steps. You see? And you drop it in place. Then you go to the control tab, the one that is like darker orange. And you choose a waiting tab. The waiting allows us some time between the steps so it doesn't run too fast. And you can put it on top or under. I like to put it on top usually. And you can leave waiting time 1 second is fine, but it's going to walk slower. Then we have the loops tabs. You go to the purple tab, and that will allow you to switch to the next costume. You know, that's how we make steps. Here's the next costume. That allows you to make the cat not just move, but move like walking, look like making steps. And when you have those 3 blocks put together, what happens is that moving only 10 steps is very little, so we'll make it repeat 20 times. So we go again in the control tab and we choose repeat, and that will snap around your block. So you make it like snap around your other blocks. It will go around the other blocks, and then make it 20 times because we want to make sure it goes all the way to the end of the screen. Can you let us know when you're ready with this block? Just a block that makes the sprite move.
I'm ready.
Okay, we need to wait for everybody.
Swesha, did you get the code?
I'm done.
Okay.
You're done?
Kemen, are you done? Yes. And Michaela?
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Okay,
So
Michaela.
when this block is done, we snap it to the event when backdrop switches to, and we choose the first beach.
Zamora and Anvika, we will send you a video recording of today's class. So if you're not able to do it now, it'll be on YouTube later today. You can follow it and you can get it done. Okay?
Can she scroll down? Because I can't see the other code.
Can you even send a video for the previous classes?
Yes, I already sent it. I already sent it by email, and I can help you catch up with the classes on Friday evening. Okay. Yes.
And Coach K,
Yes, Zamora, I did hear you. So Adina, Zamora wants you to scroll it down so she can see the coding at the bottom.
Okay, we are not looking at this one. This is about to make it meow, so I'm going to make it disappear. We are not looking at this one. We are only, let me snap it back here.
And how about Nina? Did you get it, Nina?
But there
No, I'm still.
are three identical sequences. It does not do anything else and just the same thing 3 times.
Mhm.
The only thing that's unique here is that is the event that starts sync when backdrop switches to the first backdrop. And then we have the same sequence repeated 3 times.
Okay. So good. So everybody, you get the point of what we are trying to make it happen, right? So we are trying to make it move, and the backdrop is changing at the same time. So we can move to the next step, and you can follow along with the video and get it done. Okay, Nina, Zamora, and Anvika, you can follow along with the video. So let's move to the next step. Yes, Adina.
All right. So this lesson, this is all it does. It only does. So we need to remember that we start with an event, an original event that starts a scenery, click the green flag and make the backdrop switch. So switch backdrop to the first beach. And then we put a new event and we have the walking steps, 3 repeated sequences. So I'm going to go in the project page again, and I'll make it play just so you remember again what this lesson is supposed to look like. And of course, we can complicate it in many ways, adding more elements. And we can also simplify the codes to not repeat it 3 times, but put it in a more complex repeating scheme. Is it clear so far? Okay, I wanted to show you because especially when you want to create stories, you know, like storytelling animation, you will need to change the frame and you need to change the scenery, and you will need to know how to position your characters wherever you want them to appear. If you want, you know, if you remember my storytelling lesson, if you want a dragon to come up from the sky, you will need to position it to come up from here when the backdrop changes. If you want, I don't know, a snake to appear, you will have to make it come up from the ground, from the bottom, and the next backdrop appears. So you create that animation and the backdrops change depending on what you want your characters to do and where exactly you want them to appear. And at some point they will need to interact with each other. So that makes it even more complicated in how you position them. But you just test it. Test it as it goes. You cannot really just calculate those coordinates. You place the scratch where you want it to be, and then you experiment. So this was lesson 4 from Studio One. And with this, we finished lesson 4. If you want me already to go in the student projects, let's see, did you share already your projects in the students projects? We can wait till you're ready, but when you're ready, okay, look, we already have one, Kartik. So you decided to walk through the jungle, and let's see where you... Okay. So this is like a cabin of an explorer. Awesome. Okay. That's exactly how it's going to look like. All right. So we are not in a rush. Whenever you're ready, even after the class, whenever you're ready.
I'm done.
Lesson, you remember how to add your lessons to the studio, right? Because otherwise I could go add them myself, but I would rather let me know when you're ready with them, okay? So I don't add them before they are ready.
How do you add your lesson?
So on your project page, you will see Add to a Studio. There is a button there that is called Add to a Studio. For now, let me try to edit myself. I'm going to Students Project. Let's see which one is yours. I don't see the beach for now here. Okay, here it is. This is Dancing Coder. So she added something here. On your project page, you will find a button that says choose a studio or add to a studio. And you need to choose a studio called Student Projects. Untitled. Maybe you want to title it Lesson 4. You know, so you will remember something about Lesson 4, so you will remember next time. All right, so your scratch is okay. It goes all the way to the end. If I can make a suggestion here, see, it doesn't go all the way to the end. So it's something about the positioning. Let's look inside if it's okay. Look, one thing that I noticed right away. So you did write 192, but you forgot to put minus in front, right? So what happens, it appears on the other side of the axis, of the y-axis. If you put a minus, if the axis is in the center, you chose 192, which is around here. If you choose minus 192, it will go to the opposite. So it needs to be on the other side of the x of the y-axis. Do you want me to do it? Let me see if I can change it for you.
You understand that, Michaela, what change she's doing? Are you able to follow? Michaela, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, you forgot to put the minus sign in front of 192.
I'm inside your project now, do you see?
Okay.
So you forgot to put minus here. So the coordinate 192 that you chose is, if we have an axis at the middle, the y-axis, the coordinate you chose is all the way to the right side instead of being all the way to the left side. If we put minus, it will send it to the left side. And we'll do it 3 times in both places. And that's all we have to do. Okay, so we did this twice. And then let's add one more. And you have to do it 10 times. Okay. All right. And let's see the project page now. Awesome. So I will do something now, just a reminder for everybody. Okay, so what happened here is that she chose 192, which is around here. And what we needed to do was minus 192. And if we also choose minus 36, let's say it's around here, it's minus 36. The point we are looking for would be the meeting point of these 2 coordinates. So it's going to be right here. While if she chose minus 36 and 192 without a minus, there's a point where the sprite appeared was somewhere around here. So it only had a little bit off. So we need to put a minus to send it if this is the middle of the screen, the y, see the y-axis is the middle of the screen. We need to put the minus here to make sure we go to the left of the screen. But then again, depending on your project, you will choose where you want your sprite to appear. And what is interesting that once you place, let me show you one more thing about this lesson. So we see inside, I'm going to do it in your project. If I choose another sprite, let's see a bet. And I place it right here, I'll be able to find the coordinates of it. See, if you look down here, it tells you exactly where you place if you look under the screen, it tells you X and Y axis where precisely you chose to place a bet. If I move the bet around, it's going to change the coordinates again. If I move the bet around, see? If I place the bet right on top of the other sprite, we'll have similar coordinates. I go farther down, we go closer to 192. See? So you can test, you can first place your sprite on the screen, monitor where it goes, and test it from there. You might want to write down your coordinates. When you add the next sprite, you figure out, or the next vector up, you figure out where you want to put it, and just play around. You learn, you just learn as things go. So I deleted it so I don't modify the project too much. Let's see, project page again. I'll give you a heart. Is anybody else willing to share another project?
I will.
Okay.
Can I? Can I share my screen?
Yes, sure. I mean, as soon as I see it in the student's project, I'm going to open it.
Oh.
But Michaela, I suggest that you change the title of your studio to know that it's about lesson 4. So then you'll remember it's about lesson 4.
Wait, do I share my screen, or are you gonna do it?
Would you like to share the screen, or would you like to share the project with me?
I would just like to share my screen.
Well, I have to stop sharing mine. That's fine. I stop sharing my screen, and now you can share your screen.
Okay. So this is mine.
Okay, so it looks all right. The backdrop changes and the sprite goes to the beginning of it. Now what happens to your sprite is that it doesn't walk all the way to the end. So we either need to add more steps or to repeat your steps more times. So if you look inside your code, you will see that if you either add there, instead of 10 steps, you can say 200 steps. Or if you want to learn, okay, so you have repeat 10 steps, repeat 10 times. Why don't you say 20 times, repeat 20 times?
Okay.
Okay, that's move 20 times. It's either or. You move more steps or you repeat more times to make it go all the way to the end. So that's the idea, you know, that you come out of the stage and then you continue the other stage. But again, this is something you experiment on your own. How many steps you should put, how many repeats do you need? And this repeating here, it's not even necessary if you put enough number of steps, but to use it to get used to it. It's a loop that we use all the time to get used to using these repeating loops. So you need to add a few more steps to get all the way to the end.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you know how to share it in the studio if you want to share it to the student studio, students' work. Then we can see it there and I can give you a heart. I can edit myself, but I would edit when you're ready to share. I don't see it here. I don't see it shared yet. And probably you didn't share it because I don't see it here. Oh, here it is. Add. Is it okay if I edit? Look, and then we have another one here. That's lesson 3. Somebody, and that's another one here. Oh, we have a lot of new students projects here. Awesome. If I missed any and you see your project not shared and you want to share it, please let me know, okay? So let's look a bit at the birds. Press the bird so we can lay its eggs. Press the egg to make it hatch. Oh, that's a different thing. Okay. You're making animation. Play the X. Place. Okay.
Adina, can you please share your screen?
It's not shared? Okay, sorry. I was looking at that. Yes, so this is a different, it's a different topic, but this is an interesting, interesting project. And up and down arrows to make, okay. Nice. Do we have another project that's related to lesson 4? I think I saw 1 or 2 here. Here, space lesson 4. Let's take a look, Sasha. Awesome. So that's exactly what it does. So you're in a spaceship and then you decide to take a walk in space and you end up on a different planet. That's nice. So you can actually save this project and continue it to the storytelling because you made the scenery make sense, you know, like the backdrops are somehow related. You can easily continue this with characters and events and make it a storytelling animation. So here we can give you a heart. Okay, this one I didn't give you a heart because I didn't have access to it. It was on your screen. Okay. Like there, you can replace, instead of having a cat, you can have a bee, like flying over those flowers, and then you decide to do something about that. This is all I can see so far related to lesson 4. Here you say lesson 3, but okay. This is lesson 4, Kemin. If you want to entitle it, it's a lesson 4, so you know what it's about. Yeah, awesome. So you chose a space as well too. Maybe we'll choose a theme when we get to storytelling animation. Maybe we'll choose space as a theme and they create a few stories. Okay. So I think we are doing really well with this topic, and we can probably go on to the next. Just please rename your projects so you know what your projects are about. So let's go to the next studio then.
Good job, students. All the projects are really good. Okay.
Really good. The next studio is turn, spin, follow direction. So I did show you a few in the first class. And you already completed lesson 16. We'll start with lesson 5. And I will ask you to be patient because many things can be done and you will want to experiment many things. But there are a few tricks we need to learn and understand before we move on to more complicated things. So before I look at the code, we'll look at the instruction. Click the walking cat to make it spin a number of times, then spin again while changing color a number of times. So in the first case, it just spins, and then we add a new element, it will change color, which obviously means changing costumes or changing, no, I changed the color effect. That's not changing costumes, it's just changing the color effect. So this one spins in place. Then click the arrow to make an invisible, so without a pen, invisible square in the air a number of times. Then make an invisible square while changing color. So in this case, it doesn't just spin in place. It spins while putting some distance between between the turns, between the corners. That's how we end up making the square. So it doesn't just turn in place like in the first case, like in the cat case. It turns, it makes some steps, and it turns again, it makes some steps, and then we have to decide how many degrees we turn. All right. And then click the flying cat to make it rotate in a larger circle a number of times. Then make an invisible square in the air while rotating. Now this cat does pretty much the same thing as the arrow, but it looks different because it's a flying cat, right? And I didn't.
Just got cut.
No. Anybody has any questions so far before I go inside the code?
I think I know what she did.
If you want to create a project and already start just one backdrop, we only need one backdrop, and we start with one sprite. So we'll have 3 sprites in the end, but we only start with 1 sprite for now. And we don't care about costumes at this point because we'll choose a different effect. So just create a project, try to name it something related to lesson 5. Keep track of your lessons. When you're ready, we'll start looking at the code, and I'm going to already break the code in several parts. So I'll be waiting for you to create the project, and just let me know when you're ready to start. Can I see some thumbs up if you create the project already?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up? Maybe we should make it a little bit more interactive because I don't know what's going on if you don't let me know. Are you ready? Because I would like to start explaining the script. Is anybody ready?
I'm ready.
Then let's ask who's not ready, who needs a little bit of help.
We did it, but we don't know how to add the project.
Oh, you did the project already? I was just waiting for you to create the page so we can, you know, talk about the script. How to add the project. On your project page, so if you go, let me see, this is a project page, add to studio. Do you see my screen now? If you click on the project page and on the page where you write your instructions, at the bottom under the instructions and the credits, you see add to studio. So when you click add to studio, it will ask you to choose which studio do you want to choose from, and you just choose students' work. So let's talk about the code a bit. I broke it here. So
It's not showing us that.
Sorry?
It's not showing us that add to studio.
That means you maybe didn't share it. You didn't share the project. Did you share? Did you click on share right here under the name, next to the name? First of all, you need to share it, and after that, it will show you Add to Studio.
Anvika, students project is all the way at the end. It's the last option in the Add to Studio. So if you scroll down, you'll see a tab that says students projects.
We got it.
Okay.
I want this looks simple. I mean, the code is simple if you just like copy it, but it is interesting to understand what's going on, what happens, because this is motion blocks that you can also use when you want to reposition your sprite on the backdrop. Like the way it is now, if I wanted my sprite to go back straight up, you can't really do it. It will, you know, it keeps on rotating, but it's very hard to get it to stop in the right position. So what you normally do, you can, for example, look, I'm taking my turn 15 degrees out, and that's all I do now when this sprite is clicked, turn 15 degrees. So I click it till it turns where I want it to be, and I position it the way I want. So this is just a kind of thing that annoys you when your sprite is not in the right position and the right direction. You don't know what to do. That's like a nice trick to do. So now, if I have this turn 15 degrees from the motion blocks category, we turn 15 degrees, and we repeat it 50 times, 10 times, as many times as you want to repeat it. And we link it to the event when this sprite is clicked. We are going to click on the sprite and it will keep going 50 times. Now, if we wanted to also change color, we add under turning from the looks. The color is obviously about look, about the way it looks. So we go to the purple category looks, and we pick, we go to the color. So we have to look for the color block here, change color effect. And then you decide how you want to change it. You can experiment. You can like color effect or other type of effects you can change, but you know, it's easier here. If you choose fisheye, is going to start becoming bigger or smaller. If you just change color, it's going to show easily while spinning. So you can experiment with these effects as much as you want, and you can experiment with a number as much as you want, and you just learn about them as you work, right? So all we want now is to change an effect, to add an effect here different than just changing the costume. So instead of changing the costume, in this case, we change the color. And we click on the sprite. And it changes color with every spin. Every time when it turns 15 degrees, it also changes color, okay? At every spin. Like this one is easy to monitor, just try this way as well. Just turn 15 degrees and change color without repeating. What's going to do? You just click on it, and every time you click on it, it turns 15 degrees and it changes color. Just so you know exactly what you're doing. If I want to do both ways, as I wrote in my instructions, so first of all, we make it spin 50 times, and then we make it spin and change color just for comparison. Then we have two blocks here, two loops, two repeating blocks, loops one after the other. So we click the sprite, and it spins a number of times, and then it spins a number of times changing color. Is it all clear about this sprite? So that's just spinning in place. Then I go to the arrow. And before we go to making that square, I just wanted you to see what happens to 0 if we do the same thing as we did for the cat. So you can copy the code from the other page, just write it again. I put the event when space key is pressed. always keep pressing, the arrow will just turn in place, the same thing. And then we add color. It will do just the same as the cat did first. Now, if we want to make that square in the air, we need to add something. We have turned 15 degrees or a different number of degrees, and then we also have move. Let's go back to make it more clear here. Let's go back to our whiteboard. And clear. Let's see what happens here. So again, we are going to make the coordinates. Let me see if this is the best way to do it. Actually, you know what? We're not going to talk about where we are located in space. So in this case, we are not even going to talk about where we are located in space. We are only talking about where we move. So let's say we are here. This is a peak of my arrow. So imagine it's just a dot. It's not an arrow, it's not a cat, it's just a dot. I make it move 10 steps. That means it will move automatically horizontal, right? So by default, it moves horizontal. And we say 10 steps. Then what do we want it to do? We want it to turn 90 degrees to make a right angle to make a square, right? 90 degrees. Now, the way it turns, imagine that it will go further, but we stop it. We tell the sprite, after 10 steps, you don't go any farther, you turn 90 degrees. So these are the degrees it's actually looking at right here. So instead of going farther, you go only 10 steps and you stop and you turn 90 degrees. And if we want it to go slow so we can see it, we'd also put a waiting time here for like a second or half a second. So it doesn't rush. And then it moves again another 10 steps. And then it stops. Instead of going farther, we say turn 90 degrees. So this is what it's looking at this 90 degrees. And then we say go another 10 steps. And then you turn 90 degrees, right? So it makes a square. That means we need 4 times walk 10 steps and turn, right? This is what it's going to do in this case. So let's go back to the code. And let's see what we have here. When this sprite is clicked, that's the arrow. Let's break it in 2. Repeat 50 times because we don't want to change color. So this is a block that doesn't change color. What do? I move 100 steps, not 10. I move 100 steps, and then I turn 90 degrees. We choose this for motion. We find this all in motion. So what do? I move 100 steps, then I turn. This is a 1, but instead of having 15 here, we just change and we write 90, because we know 90 is going to make a right square. Right. So move 100 steps, turn 90 degrees, repeat 50 times, and I did put a waiting time, so this is in the control section again, where we have the repeat blocks. We also have waiting time so it doesn't go too fast. Wait 1 second before you move again. So move 100 steps, turn 90 degrees, and then wait for 1 second before you move again. So if I only click this one, it's going to be without colors. So click this right. But I'm going to move it more at size. Without changing color. And if I wanted to also change color, the only thing we do, we also add after turning, every time it turns in the same repeat loop, every time it turns, it also changes color effect by 25. So it changes the color. And if I snap it here, it's going to complete the first loop without changing color, and then the second loop with changing color. So now we have two code blocks for the arrow. The first one we showed was just turning in place, and then turning in place while changing color. So for that we turn 15 degrees. While here, we create the square, and then we create the square also changing color. We could also experiment here. Instead of writing 15 degrees, why don't we write 90 degrees? But turning in place without making those 100 steps. Now let's see. Let's bring this arrow a little bit more inside. So this is making the square because I click the sprite. But if I click the space bar instead, it turns in place at 90. Okay, so to see it more clearly, let's put some waiting time. So you can see the difference between going by 15 degrees to going by 90 degrees. We put a waiting time between moves so we can see more clearly. See? So now we have an arrow that points up or down, or left or right. Without making those 100 steps to draw in the air. If we add 100 steps, instead of turning in place, it will start moving around. Is everything clear so far? And I'm going to actually show you the third sprite because it doesn't do anything more special. It does the same thing as the arrow does. It just looks differently because it's a cat, it's not an arrow. So when this sprite is clicked, let's put a waiting time to make it more clear here. Wait, only half a second, so let's put. Okay, now something that's different in the next sequence of code is that I changed the costume. We know the flying cat actually has a costume, and I thought it would be interesting to make that arrow, while also, if you look at the costumes, the cat changes during the flight. See, so we also changed costume. So let's add here another event. It's not going to be space key, it's going to be any key. So if you can actually look at the shape of the cat, it's also changing. Add a wait time, which is in control. So the waiting time is in control because we want to know how to control them. I'll put the waiting time before next costume, so we can actually see when that changes. And let's see now. See? Now you can see when it changes costumes and you go. Is it all clear so far?
Perfect.
Okay, so what do we do now? Are we waiting for you to create something? Just choose one of them. You don't have to do all of them. Choose whichever one you like. Spinning in place, spinning at 90 degrees, making an arrow, making a square with an arrow, any other sprite you want to choose. Just choose one of them and make it the way you like it. Change the color or change the costume, anything. One single sprite will be enough. So then you can work more on your own. And I'm going to Does it help you if I let you see the code more? This is more complex because it has both options. So the one to the right is about spinning in place, and it can be 90 degrees or any degrees you want to put. And this one is about turning and moving to create a shape. If you have any questions, just let me know, okay? So when you're ready with the project, we'll look in the student project. One backdrop, one sprite, and choose whichever option you want.
I shared my project. Do you see it?
Well, I'll do it now, so I was just keeping that screen to a few minutes. Okay, we have several. We have less than 5 minutes. Oh, this is Coach K. Okay. Let's see now. Tick, of course. Let's see what the green flag. All right. Click A to see something. Let's what you see. Let's see what you see. Awesome. So you change the sprite as well. Doing the same thing. And then B. Is it a fisheye effect or what I'm using? Or just changing the sprite?
It's fisheye.
Mom,
Yes?
I just wanted to tell you, Dad went to the supermarket.
Sorry? No, sorry.
You know, Dad's going to the supermarket.
I can't hear you.
Just to let you know, Dad's going to the supermarket.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. Nice of him. Very nice of him. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, and then click milk to make it rotate. Okay. And then click space. Okay, that's a nice moving ghost, appearing and disappearing. That's another way to move on the screen. We'll get there. A ghost that appears and disappears. That's fun. What's that? What do I do? You didn't give me instructions here. Can you tell us? Dancing coder. Can you tell us? What should I do? Click on the okay. Well,
Click on the sprites.
okay, each of them one by one. Okay, the arrow doesn't, but okay, that's one. Good.
And then the green one is my color change. One minute while I put some instructions in there. Where is my T-R. Okay, the instructions are in.
Oh, no, it's frozen. It takes a while to refresh. Scratch is not, I mean, it's interactive, but it doesn't, I cannot see the instructions here.
Should be.
I know, let's leave it a couple of minutes. I did have the same problem before.
Thanks. 2, 3.
Great. Right, click anything, does anything happen?
How do you write the instructions?
Sorry?
How do you write the instructions?
Instructions. In the project page, you just click here and you write. I cannot write instructions on your page, only you can. So if you just click in there and you write what you want to write, what to do. Did you look at this one?
I put the instructions.
I thought the arrow would make things more clear, you know, when you try to create a geometric shape. That's why I put the arrow. But you can try with anything. All right. See, so this part requires a larger scenery to jump around and.
Way too big.
Now the next lesson will be easy because it's just using a pen. So what we do is to create those geometric shapes while using a pen. Because when we use a pen, we don't create an invisible square anymore. See, we create a square. So I replaced my initial cat with an arrow because it looks better, it makes it more clear. Again, look at the instruction. This is a new function you use, pen down and pen up. Click space key to make the arrow draw a square in the air while rotating. First at fast speed and then in slow motion. So it's going fast and then in slow motion to allow you to see what it's doing. And then click the arrow to make it draw a hexagon in the air while rotating in slow motion. Now I made a hexagon on top of the square, but we could have located anywhere. It actually starts where you put the pen down. So if you want the drawing to start, you have the function where you put the pen down, that's where you start seeing the drawing. So in the first case here, it's a 90 degrees turn and moving 100 steps, just like in the previous section. We just have two repeats here, two blocks repeated. In the first case, very fast, while in the second case, we wait for 1 second after every turn so you can see it. So it's just the same thing. It's just in the second case, we wait for 1 second after every corner. So what do we do here? You need to find your pen. So see, I do have the function pen. Last time somebody asked, it wasn't displayed. Your pen, with my cursor, I'm going in the categories section in the left. And you should have a pen category. If you don't, go down, 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 and you edit. You just choose pen from here. Roll the sprites, and it will appear there. And once it appears, it also gives you a series of blocks in that category, things that you can do with a pen. So here I did two things with a pen. First, I used the basic function. We put the pen down when we want to start drawing. So this will be like, it's not a loop, as you can see. It's not a loop, it doesn't repeat. You have two rows here. Pen down at the end and pen up when you finish. And then I linked them together because I wanted to continue first time fast, a second time in slow motion. That's all I did for now. You can look at the blocks and figure out as many things that you can do. You can make it sharper, you can make it thin, you can change color. There are many things you can do with a pen. Now in the second when this sprite is clicked, I wanted to make not square, but a hexagon. And this is when a little bit of math comes in place. So we repeat 6 times, not 4 times. So when I made a square, I repeat only 4 times because that's all I need to draw the square, right? We don't go in circle 50 times. 4 times I need to draw the square because there are 4 corners and 4 sides. The hexagon has 6 sides and 6 angles. And in this case, you see, we move 100 steps and then we turn 60 degrees. Why? The question was, when we start to experiment, the angle of a hexagon is actually 120 degrees. So the immediate question is, why not turn 120 degrees, right? Well, doing the screen again, why? This is when we made, this is how Scratch works. So it goes a certain number of steps and then it would want to continue. But when you say no, stop and turn, how many degrees you turn, it takes the degrees from here, from its normal continuation path to where you want it to go. So if I want to make a hexagon, I go 10 steps or 100 steps, let's say 100. In our case, it's actually 100 steps. And then I want to turn. It normally continues this way. And I say 60 degrees because the Scratch takes this angle. And this is 60 degrees to just turn. So I go 100 steps and I stop here, and instead of going further, I turn downwards 60 degrees. And what does it leave here? 120 degrees, as much as we need to have the angle of a hexagon, because we know that the total here is 180. You can, of course, experiment, but I wanted these lines. Well, now I was making an octagon. See, I was making a mistake. Making an octagon. Okay. We want, when we create the hexagon, we want the lines to go back in place and meet. Because a current mistake in design is when you try to create you want to design something and then the lines don't meet. The lines go astray. You want to calculate the angle so you know precisely where you go to meet the lines. Like a challenge for a project to be, okay, create an octagon, and then you decide how many steps you go and how many degrees you turn to create the angles and the sides you need to create an octagon, which has 8 sides, right?
Yes, Adina. So definitely they can try, you can give them one of those challenges to do as homework for next class.
It's not necessarily a homework, but it's a challenge. So we created a square and we created a hexagon. And in the next one would be, okay, why don't you try to create an octagon, which has 8 equal sides, and then you figure out the angles,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sounds good. So since we are towards the close of today's session, so you can use this pen tool and do a project and share with us in the beginning of next session.
Coach K, I have a question.
Yes,
Yeah.
Adina.
Somebody deleted my phone from there. Let's see. No,
Can we use the pen for like school? So like, can we like
I can't hear you.
oh,
Yes, Zamora, you can use pen tool to create whatever project that you want. You asked, can we use pen tool for something, right? So we couldn't hear you. The last.
It's easier to draw geometric shapes because you can calculate them and you can program instead of, if you want to just draw by hand, that would be a different thing. You create a sprite, for example. If you want to program the pen,
draw shapes or can we just draw anything?
you can make it do anything. Look, there is another thing. There is another thing here that I added, just so you don't get confused if you look at my code. I added another pen block here, which is change pen shade by 10. That means, or look, if I say 100, if it's only 10, you don't see much the difference, but if I say 100, you'll see. It makes it thicker, or look, I click this right, and it will make it a little bit thicker.
Okay, sounds good. So if they were to follow the lesson from the studio, so should they follow lesson 6 and get it done?
I think so. Now let me look in the studio to see the number exactly what it connects to, because some studios, some lessons are connected to each other. 5 and 6, you know, so 6 follows 5.
Okay.
Follow 5. But in 6, we put the pen down. So let's see, the challenge for next time would be to create anything with a pen, anything you want. But if you can create a geometric shape in which we can calculate angles, that would be, you know, an extra point.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Adina, Miss Adina. I shared a project in students project with the pen. Can you look at it?
Yes, I know we are running out of time and we don't want your parents to get upset, but I'm going to look at it very, very fast if Coach K allows us to do it.
So the homework for you all would be follow lesson 5 and 6, and you can use a pen tool and create a any shape. If it's a geometrical shape, that'll be great. You can write your names, you can create alphabets, so play around with it.
Okay, so Kartik, you're always a step ahead, which is a good thing. If you look in lesson 7, you'll see that in lesson 7, we learn how to follow the mouse or follow something else. So this is cool. Look, it's creating something with a pen following the mouse. Now, we are going to learn that in lesson 7 as soon as we start the next class on Saturday.
Okay, sounds good. We have just a minute left. Is there anybody's project that we didn't see from last week's homework? So we saw Swesha's project of the flying bird, and is there anybody's homework that we missed?
I thought you missed mine. It's the Flappy Bird thing.
Flappy Bird. So let's see the Flappy Bird by Kartik.
Can you share the videos from lesson 1 to 5?
Yes, yes, Anvika, everything. We had like 3 sessions. So I have shared all the 3 YouTube videos with you. So 2 of those is just a demonstration. So we had just 1 actual lesson. So you have it all in the email. Okay.
Is this the one you're talking about? The Flappy Bird?
Yes.
Yes, you see, I already put a heart for you. I looked at all of them before the class.
Oh.
So let's see.
The game already. So you ready?
Oh wait, you need to press space.
Yeah, I was supposed to play it, right? So it's a game. We didn't get to the game yet. Okay, I'm not very fast in playing it. You know, I'm actually better at creating them than at playing them, because I never really played many games when I was a kid. I like to code them, but my kid is much better than me in playing them. So
I'm good at playing it.
for George.
So everybody else, you can access Karthik's game, right? So why don't you all open other people's project, play around with it, and why don't you write comments so they can improve their project as well, okay? So everybody else, you can open up other projects, and if you can give hearts, if you can write comments, that will help them to improve their projects, okay?
Well, I hope the class is interesting for you and you're learning what you want to learn. We take it small steps, so you know, no gaps are left behind. Saturday. I'm enjoying it.
Yes, we are learning a lot of things at a very fast pace, you know, like I think for these are all elementary students. So for some of them, this angles, geometric shapes, 60 degree, 120 degree, it's all like way too advanced, but they're all catching up really good. Okay, so have a great week ahead and we'll meet you all again next Saturday.
See you next Saturday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, see you there. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
You just got to